So basically what happens is the bride will schedule with us and send us a wish list in advance of things that they're curious about. If they have some specific things that they wonder as far as like gowns that they've seen on our website. Sometimes they have more info on that than others. So we just kind of go with what they have, what they can tell us at that point. And for some people, it's not a lot because they've never done this before. So what happens then is we connect on Zoom. And usually what I'll do to start out with is I'll share my screen so that I can walk them through the inventory in Rochester specifically, and kind of get a gauge on things that I would normally get a gauge on when I was doing intake here physically, where I'll ask questions about, you know, what do you think you're looking for? What kind of vibe is your day having? Are there things that you like versus things that you don't like, or so certain things that you want to not consider? And then I would normally make recommendations that way by pulling things from the showroom and doing a walkthrough. And instead of that, we sort of do the walkthrough virtually on the website. And then as I start to kind of glean what it is that they want or what they don't want, or even sometimes what they can't necessarily tell you, but you sense like a hesitancy about something, I'll start to kind of walk them through what things might work, what things might not work based on what they're telling me. And then we'll start to build a wish list or like condense it down so that we're making progress towards figuring out the actual thing. And then sometimes I'll pull in the room then the favorite things that they're most curious about. Sometimes it's 2, sometimes it's 4 or 5. And then I'll start to pan over the dresses and talk them through fabric and construction and details.
And every dress not only like looks different, the way you wear it and the way it feels is going to be totally different, which is probably harder to describe,
articulate. I try to, like, with my one free hand, I try to, you know, like move the fabric or like fluff the train so that someone can see like how the fabric moves. Or I get really, really close to show, like when I show you the silk dupioni, get really close to that to show people the texture, because you can really get a good idea of what that reads like. And then, you know, talk them through, does it have structure? Does it have boning? You know, what are the things, like if someone's concerned about bust support, what might work better than something else, or based on venue or time of year, what might work better. And then I'll start to recommend things, not just from the wish list, but sometimes things that they didn't consider to begin with. And I had someone who purchased their dress last week in a virtual appointment, and there was a specific neckline that she was interested in and a specific gown. And I kind of said to her, consider this other thing that has the same neckline, but is a very different version of that. And we sent her the 2 favorites, because we'll send you your favorite sample or 2 to try on from home. And we do a virtual try on, and she ended up choosing the one that I said to her, give it a shot. Like, you might hate it, and that's fine. We'll vote it off if you don't like it. And it ended up being the thing that made her feel the most bridal. So I think it's just like here in person, except that, like I was telling you before, we have to really work on our verbal gymnastics, because you really have to explain. You have to have your A game when it comes to communication. And then during virtual try-ons, I tell them how to be clipped into it. So if mom or sister or somebody is there, that's definitely helpful, because you need another set of hands. Talk them through clipping, talk them through measurements, process, and just logistics, and ask them the same questions I would ask if they were here. You know, how do you feel about the gown? Like, what are the things that you sort of experience in your gut voice that tell you whether this is right or not right? And so we navigate that stuff together. So we're getting I'm getting better at it.
And honestly, I'm sure a lot of it is a little bit harder to explain, but it does translate, because you're still walking people through, like, okay, you thought you were drawn to this, but like this is going to feel different. And then, you know, what is it that actually makes you feel the best? Is like always a surprise.
Always.
Not always, but a lot of times,
a good chunk of the time, I think people are surprised, and you know, they'll say, I never thought I would be this kind of bride. And and so it's funny.
I love those stories on a wedding day when they're like, I
wasn't gonna wear this.